Welcome to Fiery Discourse, your podcast and media featuring dragonesses, female dinosaurs, and other similar saurians and scalies. I'm your host, Ludmillanon, and with me are my co-hosts, Angron, LuckyEevee, Stryker, Python, and Jordan. Today is our 54th episode, and it's the beginning of the Year of the Dragon, which is very important for this podcast in particular. And in order to celebrate, we're discussing the 2022 movie Minions: The Rise of Gru. So let's get things started. It really is amazing with Illumination Entertainment how this was an animation company that came out of nowhere to become one of the biggest studios around. I don't think anyone was expecting Despicable Me to be as huge as it was, and from there, of course, it snowballed to them having multiple hit movies and becoming the basically huge animation studio that they are today.
And I think it all started when they did Hop.
Well, Despicable Me was their first, Hop was their second, and Hop is probably their worst movie. Their output as a whole, to me, is can be a lot of hit or miss, but they do have their moments, and regardless of how I feel about them, their movies make a lot of money, so a prequel to Despicable Me was inevitably going to happen. The first Minions, in my opinion, is kind of a mixed bag, because for me, the Minions are characters that are probably best enjoyed in small doses. Like, I can handle Minions broken up with other things, but in like the first Minions, where it was just all Minions all the time, they get really annoying. I think a good analogy would be the Star Wars Christmas special, where it's just like it starts with 20 minutes of just the Wookiees and Wookiee screams and growls and that. It gets really tedious after a while. I'm not saying the Minion movie is as bad as that, but I'm just saying that for me anyway, the Minions are characters that are best enjoyed like sporadically. Like they can even be the focus. Like in this movie, they have more of a focus than they do in the Despicable Me franchise. But I still feel that there's a way that you could have balanced it between having them be center characters without them being annoying. And again, we're talking about the first one, because the second, in my opinion, is a huge, huge improvement. That's the movie we're going to talk about today.
Devil's advocate on the first Minions before we continue.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I do understand that having them be the central focus can be a little iffy, but honestly, most of their higher effort jokes involving the Minions were there. Also, giving them character certainly helps. So, yeah, I mean, it's not perfect, but honestly, compared to what we got with the Despicable Me sequels, could be worse.
Oh,
and honestly, it's better.
Yeah, some of the Despicable Me sequels were not as good. Although, surprisingly, they did get Trey Parker in the third one to play that, villain. Very odd casting choice there, considering that's the only non-South Park animated thing he ever did. Or, South Park, Team America, that kind of thing. It's the only thing he did animated that wasn't made by him. So it's very interesting. But yep, now let's talk about this movie. And one thing I always liked with Illumination, even like their bad movies, I give them credit for how their logos are different with every single movie. That is something that is a really, really cute touch, and I don't know if they're going to keep on doing it. I mean, suppose they make 50 plus movies, are they still going to find time to make a unique logo for each one? But
I mean,
still,
honestly, yeah.
It would be cool if they did. It would be cool if they did. I really hope that they do, because it's a lot of fun. This Illumination logo has a minion get caught in the logo, which changes the word Illumination to minion, and has a disco theme because it's set in the 1970s, which is a nice touch.
Yep, and before it was the 1960s, where everyone was either high, in Vietnam, or both, honestly.
Yeah, basically.
70s is the hangover of that. So anyways.
Yeah, so yeah, this movie takes place in 1976, and it begins with a heist taking place. The heist is performed by Belle Bottoms, who is one of the main members of the Vicious Six. She's basically a parody of Pam Grier, who was a big star of the blaxploitation genre of the 1970s movies like Foxy Brown and stuff like that. She was the woman who starred in 9 out of 10 of those movies. It was her, and you can tell it's trying to be like a parody of that kind of character, and they do it really well. The whole chase sequence with her and the anti-villain league is a lot of fun with really fun animation in general. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. But Illumination Entertainment, one thing I can never fault them for is how good their animation is, because I feel like in almost every movie they always put out the stops in a lot of ways.
Oh,
with the exception of Hop, but Hop was kind of growing steps, I suppose.
Ugly baby phase. Ugly baby phase.
yeah, that too. So she ends up evading the police and she heads into a record store, which turns out to be a front for their secret headquarters. It turns out that the item that she stole was a map, as the rest of the group cheer over this. We get really nice touch with a Tarantino-esque title cards, which is a lot of fun. And the Vicious Six in general, I feel like it's kind of a catch-22 because they're so much fun and they're so well designed. I kind of wish they were in this movie just a little bit more. Granted, they are fantastic. When they are on screen, they all shine completely. But I just feel like if we just had like maybe 10, 15 more minutes to share with these guys, it would have been perfect. But regardless, I definitely like how they did. And they got really great actors to play them. They got Danny Trejo, Dolph Lundgren, a.k.a. Best known for being Ivan Drago in the Rocky franchise, Lucy Lawless, a.k.a. Xena, and Belle Bottoms is played by Taraji P. Henson. But then there's one that I think is probably my favorite, is Jean-Claude
Van Damme.
Yeah, who is a man with a lobster claw in her hand, is voiced by Jean-Claude Van Damme. I bet that is the only reason that they actually made that character, is because they got him and they're like, well, we got to use him. And I guess we got to be thankful that they got Jean-Claude Van Damme, because I don't want to think how it would have been if they got Steven Seagal for it.
Oh,
Minions.
boy.
I don't like the way you're looking at me, Minions. I know Aikido. I'm going to kill you, Minions. I'm going to kill you because I'm better than you, because I'm Steven Seagal.
Oh, boy. Imagine if they did.
No, not him.
I just had to do it. I'm sorry. I had to do it.
You're fine. I'm just thinking, like, oh, God, not him.
No,
but I really do like some of their clever names and themes that go along with it. I mean, Vengeance is a little bit of an oddball, even with the whole spiked freaking roller skate thing and his name, which okay.
I do reference to a movie that was out around the same time, Rollerball with James Caan, where it's a future dystopian movie where they play this game that's like a hockey on roller skates with a giant silver ball, and they kill all the competitors. It's kind of like a Death Race 2000 type of movie.
So they're basically all like parodies of like B movies from the 70s. That's actually funny, honestly. It is funny. Nunchucks.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if like the Evil Nun was a parody of like the nun-sploitation movies, which did happen, believe it or not. The 70s were wild.
I don't doubt
exploitation movies.
Oh man.
But, yeah.
And then you get Stronghold, which exists. But yeah, Belle Bottoms and Nunchuck are easily my favorite. Also, Jean-Claude.
My favorites are also Belle and Jean-Claude. But again, they're all fun. And we also get to see their leader, Wild Knuckles, who is played by Alan Arkin, best known for being, of course, in MASH. He was the grandfather in Little Miss Sunshine, an iconic actor all around. This actually was his final movie, believe it or not.
Dang.
Yeah, hey, he went out with a pretty good one. Kind of like how Paul Newman's last movie was Cars.
Ooh, okay, that works. Okay.
But it turns out that the map turns out to be leading to the Zodiac Stone, which gives them the power of the Chinese Zodiac. There's a really cool transition effect here with the map zooming into the landscape where the stone is actually hidden. And again, this height sequence is just so well animated. I'd watch an entire movie of just like the Vicious Six pulling off various heists and stuff like that, because it is a lot of fun.
Minus Alan
Arkin, because he passed away. Or something like that.
But
anyway, what happened is basically Wild Knuckles, he makes it into the lair by solving a puzzle, and he nearly falls in some spikes. Just when he's about to grab the stone, a bunch of tiny guards made of gold armor begin attacking him. He gets the upper hand.
Foreshadowing or just a thing? Who knows?
I swear, the part where he folds in the map, it reminded me of a
Mad Magazine. I think that was an intentional reference. I definitely think so too. Also, just one thing to correct the thing, a little goof. Alan Arkin was not in MASH. That was Alan Alda. Forgive me.
Yeah, Alan Alda. Don't worry.
Yeah. But anyway, what happens is these little tiny guards made of gold armor begin attacking him, and they have a really cool design too. Something like almost Indiana Jones-esque while still being unique enough. And he ends up basically destroying the guards and smashing them into pieces, grabbing the stone. He rides up the pedestal, and we get a really neat part where he rides up and he thinks he's going to go out, but then there's like thousands of those tiny golden guards all waiting for him, and they start attacking him. Basically, he calls in the rest of the Vicious Six to save him, and they have a really cool-looking hover car, and they use it throughout the movie, and it's a real fun design. He then gives them the stone, and he just barely manages to hang on before, of course, being villains, the group betrays him, and Belle becomes the new leader of the Vicious Six. Jean-Claude cuts the rope with his lobster hand and causes Wild Knuckles to seemingly fall to his death. And then we get the opening credits. All of this that we were talking about were like the pre-credit sequence. And this, of course, is a spoof of James Bond, which probably would have suited the first Minions just a little bit more. Maybe. Considering how it was set in the 60s and Bond was more popular in the 60s, but he was still huge in the 70s. In fact, my favorite Bond, Roger Moore, was in there, so it's good.
As opposed to the Sean Connery Bond.
I like that era, by the way, since I'm a huge Bond fan.
Yeah, same. My
I'm
favorite
not the biggest
is Moore.
Bond fan. Never really watched much of his films.
Anyway, it has a silhouette. The opening credits has silhouettes of Minions and Gru, as well as elements that come into play later on. And the fact that they even did this at all is a lot of fun. It's set to what I think is a Chinese pop song, which again fits because of the whole Zodiac motif. It's pretty cool they did that. And like I say, it's just like it's being creative, even in this front, is one of the things that I do have to appreciate about Illumination Entertainment. They're never afraid to push the envelope.
Yeah, it's very impressive.
Yep. After the credits, we cut to an elementary school where we get to see a bored teacher asking her students what they want to be. There's a couple of really good, cute gags in the sequence. As one student says, "Oh, I want to be a teacher," and she replies, deadpan, "Trust me, you don't," is a good one. Another student says, he wants to be a fireman that's president and drives a race car. Now, it's no football-playing king in space, but that kid is going places.
What was that supposed to reference again?
SpongeBob, Squidward, SpongeBob, I can be a king, or a football player, or an astronaut, or a football-playing king in space. With a mustache. Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Gru, of course, wants to be a villain, and he's busy drawing pictures of himself as a member of the Vicious Six. All the other kids basically laugh at him as Gru sulks and leaves the school. And we get to see all of the other kids are picked up by their parents, but Gru only has the minions, namely Kevin Stewart and Bob, who were the main minions of the last movie.
Oh, yeah.
They ride off on a rocket-powered motorbike, and they go to see Jaws. He clears out the theater with a gas bomb, and then he watches the movie with the minions. And one thing, Gru would be doing them a public service if instead of seeing Jaws, they were watching Jaws: The Revenge.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah, that movie is just terrible, absolutely terrible.
And of course, funny. And of course, they would have rights to.
Yeah, because it's Universal. Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny that they don't even show any footage of Jaws, which, again, it was Universal, so they probably could have easily done that. So
I guess it's just... I guess it was fine for just the reference.
Yeah, I get it works. It works for what it is. So, we get a little montage of Gru using the minions to cheat at arcade games, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Then see him use a cheese ray to go through a long line in an ice cream parlor because he does something similar. First movie, in the first movie he does that with a coffee shop. But then we get a reference that to me just feels so weird and arbitrarily placed. The guy at the counter does a reference to he says, "Don't cheese me, bro," which is a reference to the infamous viral video, "Don't tase me, bro." The guy that got tased while at a lecture or something. He was yelling at the lecturer and got tased. But the thing is that's weird is that viral video is almost 15, 16 years old, and yet it doesn't make sense to reference it in a movie set in the 70s. It feels like something that's oh, let's put in this reference to this meme that no one,
it's a kids movie, so they'll reference memes all the time.
Yeah, exactly. It's it's not even a relevant meme or anything that's relevant to the situation. It's why don't you reference all your base are belong to us next,
Yeah, exactly.
Although I will say this.
Yeah.
I mean, if Turning Red could get away with freaking referencing, mass social media things despite being an early 2000s set film, then maybe.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Anyway.
The part with the Gru and the minions, especially teasing the members of a gym with all the ice cream, is just hilariously cruel. And again, it really suits for just how much of a jerk Gru is. And it really kind of shows how he becomes the Gru he is in the first movie. This is a prequel that I will say actually does it right by expanding the backstory of Gru. It actually does a decent job of basically telling us how he became the way he became by the time the first Despicable Me takes place. So then Gru arrives home and he goes to the mail. Then he finds a cassette tape from the Vicious Six. He puts it in his mom's car radio and it creates a hologram of Belle claiming that the Vicious Six has received his application and that a position is available, of course, because Wild Knuckles is presumably dead. The interview is tomorrow, and then we get the this message will self-destruct gag, which has been in pretty much every single movie that has kind of a spy basis to it and is a comedy. They are going to do that gag, and this one doesn't really do anything else to change it, but it just happens, I guess. But then we get a kind of adult joke because Gru tries telling his mother about the news, and when he goes into her bedroom, we hear like grunting and groaning from outside. And of course, the joke is to adults, oh, it's supposed to be sex. But then he opens the door, and she's just doing yoga with some random guy.
One thing it's a PG movie, they can get away with that.
Yeah, exactly. One thing that always amazes me is Gru's mother is Julie Andrews, and I never in a billion years would have ever thought that was Julie Andrews. She does a fantastic job.
Holy shit, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like Shrek where she's basically still doing her Julie Andrews voice and mannerisms that. And this is like something totally different. It is really, really well done.
Absolutely. Also, her being in the whole hippie phase back in the day.
Yeah, it does make sense. It does also make a lot of sense.
Absolutely. She absolutely did full on kung fu phase in her 60s or 80s or whatever. How old she is.
Yep. But anyway, Gru is undeterred by this, and he goes to his lab in the basement, which is a lot simpler compared to the other Despicable Me movies. And again, it's fun how we get to see how child Gru still had a laboratory, but yet it was much more basic. And here we get some good antics with the minions. Like I said earlier, a little of the minions go a long way for me, but I do like a lot of the gags. Like, I think my favorite is Gru walks through cement, a minion repaves it, and then he runs to yell at Gru, and he ran through the same cement. That's a gag that on paper doesn't sound funny, but it's something about the timing of it. It really, really
honestly,
does work.
Yes.
Yeah, beats modern SpongeBob any day.
It does, holy shit.
Yeah, it does. It really, really does. You're right.
Shots fired.
Yep. So Gru basically tells the minions that he has an interview with the Vicious Six, and they all cheer for him. And it cuts to that night. Gru can't sleep as he just stares at the Vicious Six poster in wonder. He hopes that he could be a part of the team. The three main minions can't sleep, and they call him Gru's bread, much to his annoyance.
Bread?
Sorry, not bed. Yes. Oh, God.
Bread.
Sorry about that.
Oh, good.
One fun thing about this franchise I like is its world building. How villains, for better or worse, are a major, major part of society. And again, it's one thing that I do like with the whole world building of it, because here we get a report from the Villain News Channel where Belle Bottoms makes a statement claiming that in 3 days, Chinese New Year will begin, and because they have the Zodiac Stone, they'll unleash the powers of the Zodiac to destroy the Anti-Villain League once and for all. It turns out that Wild Knuckles is watching the broadcast, and he angrily destroys the TV before ranting to his henchmen. His henchmen all want to be paid, but he attacks them in response to this in a really fun bit of animation. And again, like I say, just something about how the slapstick in this movie works. They do a really good job at this. And I want to sound like a broken record here, but we'll talk more about basically the slapstick of the movie later on, because it does work out pretty good. We then cut to the next day where Gru sings a parody of the song Bad Moon Rising while getting ready to meet the Vicious Six. Kevin, Stewart, and Bob want to join him, but then Gru tells them his backstory, that the Minions wanted to help him out after the events of the first Minions with Scarlet Overkill and that. They wouldn't take no for an answer, and There's one part that actually really made me laugh just because it was a bit of a clever subversion. There's a part where the minions are all out shivering in the rain and Gru, lets them in out of pity. But it turns out they did this by using like a garden hose and a sprinkler to make it look like it was raining outside so they could join him. And that's just something that is, I actually did not expect that. That they set it up so that they would be part of Gru's team.
It's also funny because in that same scene before that, he just like looks out, sees them like, and they just like closes the door first, and then he sees the freaking rain.
Rainstorming all of them out in the rain, like looking with like sad eyes and that. And again, yeah, it really works out good.
Yeah, that gag. Oh, that gag appears several times in this movie, and it's funny.
Yeah, it works. Yeah. So Gru basically tries telling them that there's lots of other villains out there, and he has to do this on his own, much to their dismay. But they all follow Gru as he heads to criminal records, and there we get to see a younger version of Dr. Nefario, who will later become Gru's head scientist. He shows Gru his sticky hand gun invention. Then he tells him how to get to the Vicious Six by playing like by playing a particular record backwards. And he tells him to remember him if he ever becomes famous. And then we get Gru drop down to the Vicious Six headquarters, and we get to see a lot of other villains waiting there as well. Now, we don't see these guys' names or what their personalities are, but just their designs are a lot of fun. You can tell that they had a lot of fun designing, unique, like, villain designs, like, and they made them all really unique, too. I think that worked out for the best.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's really great.
Gru is eventually called in, and he approaches the Vicious Six. His nervousness is pretty funny, and the Vicious Six are basically looking at him like, who the hell is this? Belle asks who let him in, and it turns out that Jean-Claude didn't think he was a kid. He thought he was just a very, very short man, which, again, that's a pretty funny joke. Yeah. Yeah. And basically, she asks, can a child be a villain? Then she shows him the Zodiac Stone. She basically dismisses him, and we get to see another villain enter. While they're distracted with the other villain, Gru uses his sticky hand device to grab the stone and manages to get out of there. It turns out that Wild Knuckles is also watching him as Gru bumps into the minions who are waiting outside. Gru then jumps on his bike with them, and we get to see the Vicious Six chase him and the rest of the minions out. And again, another really fun sequence. With all like basically you have the cars being flipped over and that, and rockets and stuff. It really, really is fun.
Oh yeah. It's also great because like you get some pretty funny lines from them. You like get freaking nunchuck illuminating like.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and of course, that's a reference to Xena, Warrior Princess, who of course Lucy Lawless played, which is another fun reference there. But yeah, Gru gives the stone to a nerdy minion named Otto, and he tells him to keep it safe while the rest of the Vicious Six continue to chase him. And I think my favorite part of the chase is where Gru just flips an entire van on the two of them. And again, it is really fun in general. So what happens is Gru manages to make his escape. He gets home, and he tells the minions that they have stolen the Zodiac Stone. Then he tells Otto to present it, but it turns out Otto had managed to keep the stone for an incredibly long time through like all sorts of mishaps where he almost dropped it, he almost lost it in that. Then he traded it to some kid for a pet rock. And that is just like, he pulls out just like a stupid rock with googly eyes. It's like, I think what it is too is because it's the comedic, setup of it. We have like an entire montage of like this minion trying desperately to keep this, ancient medallion thing safe. And then he sees a kid with a pet rock and he's like, oh yeah, I'll take that. Here, take this. He runs up so happily. But yeah, of course, Gru is really upset about this and he fires all the minions to head upstairs. We get a pretty fun gag with the minion DJ. He puts on a really sad song, like in response to this. All the other minions are sad. He just changes like the dance song to like a sad song.
Yeah, and then he puts on the freaking pump up song again, and it's
exactly,
I love that bit. It's awesome.
It was hilarious.
Do a little dance, stand at the times. Like exactly. 151. Shout out to you for that one, but he constantly referenced that song in his some of his videos. It's hilarious.
Nice. Yeah, nice. So anyway, Gru storms out of the house in anger, but it turns out he was kidnapped by Wild Knuckles and his guards.
Yeah,
I will
say about this. I will say about this scene. The music that plays over it.
Yeah.
It's.
Sorry.
It's kind of unfitting, honestly, and it's kind of a mood whiplash compared to like the scene that happens. Like it kind of kills the immersion a little bit.
Yeah, it does. It does. That's one of the things I will say is that the score of this movie can kind of be all over the place in a way, but it's probably a minor detail to be honest. But yeah, I did notice that too. Yeah, for the most part. But yeah, Wild Knuckles basically demands the stone, and I like how Gru basically nervously hands the pet rock to Wild Knuckles. His guards basically dangle Gru over a balcony, and they decide to hold him ransom and force him to call his house. The minions are looking for Gru when he gets the phone call. Wild Knuckles basically tells them that they have 2 days to find the Zodiac Stone, or he's going to kill Gru. Which, pretty dark. He's going to kill a kid. So,
I mean, he is a villain. Also, funny thing about the scene, like the same moment Gru freaking gets forced to try and tell them where the stone is. He's like, "No, don't call my mother. She will literally sell me to you."
Exactly. I forgot to mention. I'm like, good catch. Good catch. That was a good Exactly. Exactly. That again is a gag that is really, really well done. But basically, what happens is the other minions interrogate Otto as he tells them about the kid he traded with. Kevin, Stewart, and Bob go to the kid, but it's revealed that he gave it to his uncle. Otto, meanwhile, sees that a random biker has the stone and attempts to chase him down. The minions, meanwhile, decide to go to an airport to fly to San Francisco and rescue Gru.
We then quick call back to that bike scene. Honestly, it kind of makes me question what exactly that kid's family is like, because he's got him with the freaking head and the red head and whatnot. Then you got a freaking African American uncle, which raises so many questions. But okay,
yeah.
Honestly, yeah,
yeah, I definitely can see that. But anyway, the minions go to the airport to fly to San Francisco and rescue Gru. We then have a weird bit of an editing thing because it's the minions basically seeing a sign, and then it cuts to the Vicious Six as they all climb into various vehicles and vow to get Gru and the Zodiac Stone again. But then we cut back to the minions arriving at the airport. It feels like it was slapped in like kind of haphazardly, like, oh, we have to cut back to the Vicious Six because it's been too long without them. Whereas you probably literally could have just shown the minions seeing the sign for the airport, then cutting to them getting off the bus to go to the airport. It is something that does feel a little bit weird.
Yeah, it definitely does feel a little bit weird.
So yeah, what happens is the minions all arrive at the airport, and a funny gag, they try to pay with like candy in their pockets, but of course they get turned away by that. But then they have an idea. Yeah, they disguise themselves as pilots and they sneak into the plane. And then, of course, they attempt to fly the plane, and we get all kinds of comedic hijinks. Stewart basically getting flushed down the toilet. Kevin nearly crashing the plane multiple times. And it is funny, but it does seem very reminiscent of the movie Airplane to me. Like, it did remind me a lot of that. Like they were taking a lot from the movie Airplane. Like it almost knocks down the radio tower. I think that happened in Airplane.
I don't think they did, though. I'm not sure.
I thought that happened. Like they flew close to an airplane tower and and they almost knocked it down. That did happen in Airplane. But regardless, it is funny though. It is funny. I will say, even if they did take a little bit from the movie Airplane, it does work out to its benefit.
Also, this scene, the only minion butt shot. Period.
Thank goodness. It's not like the last one.
They absolutely did show some restraint in this. Wait.
Yeah.
Where? Okay, that's fair on the minion part, but oh man.
Yeah.
I mean, the jokes, for lack of a better term, are pretty funny. They're a guilty pleasure of mine, but
yeah. I can understand why. Believe me, yeah. No, I get you.
Yeah, man. I also like at the end where they finally land the plane and Kevin's like, yeah, and like freaking Stewart comes out of the bathroom like pissed with like
exactly,
like, blue toilet fluid in his freaking goggles, and he's like, no.
Yeah, again, it is really, really well timed, yo. Like, one thing Illumination does know is they do know how to do like a slapstick comedy in animation and make it work. So the movie then cuts to Wild Knuckles' lair. So he's impressed that Gru actually managed to steal from the Vicious Six. He then attempts to kill Gru by sticking him into a giant record. That'll basically spin him round, baby, right round, to paraphrase the late, great Pete Burns and Dead or Alive. But it also turns out that the record has saw blades coming out of it towards him at the exact same time. And it'll take him about 2 days for this to kill him. And then we then cut to Otto as he continues to basically chase the biker while riding a tricycle through all different kinds of landscapes. And I think the funniest one is when he jumps over like the gorge and that. That was a pretty good gag. Reminded me a little bit like The Simpsons with Homer jumping the gorge. I want to do it. I want to do it. It was almost like that. It does work out, really, really well. And again, the animation is really well done. Like you get like a first person shot of like Otto riding through all these different landscapes over time, and it's like a time lapse thing, and it really is well done for a CG.
Absolutely. Yeah. Props to Illumination.
Yep. So then Kevin, Stewart, and Bob manage to make it to a Wild Knuckles lair, but his guards end up catching them, and they chase them all throughout the city. The minions make it to Chinatown, where they are basically beaten up by the guards. We get to see Master Chow, who is an acupuncturist and a kung fu master. She sees this and basically fights off the men. The minions are all amazed by her, and they want to learn kung fu. She tries telling them that yeah, basically, or that too. She tries telling them that she's retired, but they manage to convince her with cute faces. Now, like I said, this did remind me a lot, though, of Puss in Boots. I saw it and I'm like, okay, that's a little bit derivative. I'm not going to lie.
I mean,
it's like, kinda,
Fair enough, but come on, how they go about doing it is honestly a little more unique compared to Puss in Boots. Let's put it that way.
I will say that they did do kind of a similar thing, but in a unique way. Let's do it that way.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We then cut to Gru's mother holding a Tupperware party with all of the minions, some of them wearing dresses, which, a pretty good day. I like the other gag about this scene that's, one I didn't get is that she literally does not care one iota that her son is kidnapped, that she's like, oh, my son's kidnapped? Who cares, basically.
This is a woman who basically did not give a shit about whatever her son did, like with the rocket to the moon, the freaking macaroni model.
Exactly.
Freaking, oh man, she took him to a freaking she took him to a convention for super villains, for crying out loud.
That's true. Very true.
Kind of puts into question her validity as a mom, though the first movie does help edge out a little bit. So, I don't know.
Yep. So basically, Gru's mother is holding the Tupperware party before the Vicious Six rip off the roof, and they demand to know where Gru is. It turns out that they learn Wild Knuckles is alive and has Gru, and they go out to find the both of them. We got a pretty good gag with his mother saying, you're going to pay me for the roof. She cares about that more than she cares about her son, which, pretty good gag.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Man.
So now we get another montage with the minions attempting to learn kung fu, but their training doesn't go very well. Like I said, this montage is pretty cute. It has some decent visual gags, but it feels, like I say, it's good, but I feel like it's probably the weakest of the montages just because some of those jokes have been done a little bit before. I will say I did like, probably my favorite was the brick breaking one where, Stewart can't do it and he tries to, break it with his head. Then, one of the others, I think Bob says, was like, no. And then he picks up like Stewart, he starts using it as a hammer to try and break the boards. That's one went so out of left field. I had to laugh at that particular gag.
Oh yeah, it's funny, honestly. Like it's not perfect, but come on, it's
funny.
hilarious.
It is funny. It has some good moments. Yeah. There's a part where they play Funky Town in order to train, but of course, Funky Town was released in 1980, unless of course we're doing a Chuck and Marvin Berry from Back to the Future thing here. But
so they did an original freaking track for this scene. So yeah,
that's true. So Wild Knuckles, his henchmen quit, which causes him to have to untie Gru and basically enlist his help in getting back the stone. We then cut to Otto again as we see him in the desert. He finally catches up to the biker who happily gives him the Zodiac Stone. Now, the biker, in a very weird cameo, and when I looked this up, I was like kind of surprised. He's voiced by RZA of the Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah, I've heard like one song of the Wu-Tang Clan, of the freaking Wu-Tang Clan, and it's "We Ain't Came to Lose" for TMNT Shredder's Revenge. Shout out! But oh man, I've heard it, and honestly, they're pretty good. It's pretty great. It's a pretty good song.
Yeah. But like I say, it really is interesting that they got him for this movie, and of course, he's probably the nicest character in the movie because he instantly gives Otto back the stone, and he decides to they decide to ride off together in kind of a spoof of Easy Rider, and there's a lot of cute things like them wanting to see the world's largest banana and taking like photos off of it by it, and that's a cute little montage, kind of a spoof of Easy Rider, which is again more of a '60s thing than a '70s thing, but it still works.
Yeah, it's pretty great, honestly. I feel like I kind of want to see a little more of that dynamic.
I do too. You know, I wouldn't mind if they made like a short film of just Otto and this biker guy just hanging out and doing stuff. Because
that would be really fun. Actually, just the montage of them making their way to San Francisco.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
So then, Wild Knuckles has Gru clean his pool, which turns out to be filled with crocodiles. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Live and Let Die with the crocodile farm, which might have been intentional. Wild Knuckles attempts to fight them off before he gets caught in one of their mouths, and Gru has to save him. Wild Knuckles is impressed by Gru and the fact that he actually would risk his life to save him, and he decides to help teach Gru more about how it is to be a good villain. Sadly, we do not get to hear the song Villain Number One, or rather, We Are Number One, but we can't have everything.
Honestly, I didn't fully expect that song to be referenced in this movie.
All right, Stefan, legend. But yeah, getting back to this, what happens is we cut back to more of the minions learning Kung Fu as we get another montage of it. And again, this is funny too, how they actually learn it, and this I feel does have slightly better gags in my opinion, but both of the montages are still really, really well done. After a while, it turns out that Chow says they're ready, which causes the minions to think that they're ready to battle. It turns out that they're only ready to get their like junior learner badges, and that they're doomed.
Oh man! Seeing her students go off haphazardly and just be like, they're doomed.
Exactly. It really does work out for the best. And she's actually played by Michelle Yeoh, who, of course, Everything Everywhere at Once. She's best known for doing that. She was in Tomorrow Never Dies. A lot of great movies. She's a really good actress in it. Yep.
She was in Everything Everywhere All at Freaking Once.
Yep. She won Best Actress for it.
Okay then. That is. Wow.
That's a movie I wanted to see.
But oh my gosh.
Yep. So anyway,
I've seen it. It's weird. I'll tell you that much.
I haven't seen all of it, but I've heard it's pretty good. But anyway, getting back to this movie, Wild Knuckles takes Gru to the bank, and then he sneaks into the bathroom to take them to the Bank of Evil. And one thing I do like, again, is the continuity. How the head of the bank is the exact same one from Despicable Me, and he has a picture of Vector on his desk as like as like almost an infant in that. And Gru instantly doesn't like Vector, which of course ties into their relationship in the first Despicable Me.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
And it works here because keep in mind that Vector is younger than Gru, but he's still relatively an older person, as it were.
Yeah, exactly.
Despite, still being younger in somewhat of his prime.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, we get a really neat heist sequence with Wild Knuckles faking a heart attack. Gru runs to the vault and uses his sticky hand to steal the vault keys. Gru manages to steal the Mona Lisa from the vault, and Wild Knuckles commends him, and they're going to be like a team, which it really does feel so like, almost heartwarming in a way, how Wild Knuckles is like the father that Gru never really had.
Oh, hell yeah. Absolutely. Yep. Especially compared to Gru's real father, who...
Yeah, exactly. We then cut to outside at night, whereas Kevin, Stewart, and Bob attempt to break into Wild Knuckles' house yet again, now with their kung fu skills. A cute little reference that they're all dressed like Bruce Lee in Game of Death, which, cute reference.
Nice.
They all manage to infiltrate the mansion, but then the Vicious Six manage to invade and destroy the house, with the minions just barely managing to escape. Otto, meanwhile, ends up going to Chinatown, which is, of course, beginning their New Year's festivities with the biker dropping him off there. Then we get to see a pretty good poignant scene, which Wild Knuckles and Gru return home only to find it completely destroyed. And Wild Knuckles, at this point, he completely gives up because he knows that he's basically old and alone, and he has almost absolutely nothing in his life because all his friends betrayed him, and now he has no henchmen, he has no friends, he's an old man, and he feels like he wasted his life, basically. And Gru tries to get Wild Knuckles' spirit up by telling him that he could be his new partner, but of course Wild Knuckles chooses not to listen, and he basically tells Gru to get out of there, basically.
Yeah.
We then get to see Gru riding the cable car through San Francisco before seeing Otto in Chinatown. Gru reunites with Otto, and the Otto gives him the Zodiac Stone. He plans on giving it to Wild Knuckles, and just as he's about to leave, we get to see the Vicious Six show up first and steal the stone. And now the Anti-Villain League, of course, shows up, and they're planning on arresting the Vicious Six. But, of course, the powers of the stone begin to work. As it turns out, it's New Year's.
Happy New Year!
Belle Bottoms says, yep. And then we get a really cool sequence with the Zodiac animals, all the spirits all rising up out of the stone, and they all hit them as they begin to transform. And the first one we get to see to transform is Belle Bottoms. Is get to see scales overtake her face, and the fluff of like her 70s coat becomes like her Eastern Dragoness hair in a way. Although we don't get to see a full on-screen transformation, which kind of is a shame, it is a really, really fun sequence.
Oh, hell yeah.
And
it's honestly really amazing because stuff like this, the Zodiac Stone as both a concept and like a plot device, just, oh man, it's amazing. Especially here. And especially with Belle Bottoms, as we'll no doubt see.
Yep, and we get to see the others take on more animal characteristics as well. And here is the reason why we're covering this movie, because Belle is revealed to be a truly gigantic Eastern Dragoness, basically. And one of the few female Eastern Dragonesses that I've seen, and I really like how the colors of her scales are the same colors of her outfit. That is such a nice touch that they didn't have to do, and I'm really glad that they did. As well as just basically her smug superiority as a human still comes across as a Dragoness. And what happens is basically the other animals, the other members of the Vicious Six also turn to animals as they attack the Anti-Villain League with all of their new abilities.
John Claude becomes a monkey, Vengeance becomes a tiger, Stronghold becomes a goddamn bull, and Nunchuck becomes a serpent,
snake,
which is honestly kind of freaking fitting, given
when you think it's you think it's like a nun becoming a giant snake. That's something like, oh yeah, that's ironic because Satan was a snake too.
Yeah, you'd think that, which honestly, it could be because it doesn't just become a snake actually. Because a full-on cobra. Which
that's true. Yeah, which is again another funny joke is like again the nun's habit, like the cobra's thing. That's not a really funny joke. But then we get something that again really makes Belle Bottoms enjoyable for me, especially her Dragoness form. The fact that she's able to talk as a Dragoness and she still keeps her personality and everything like that. That is just so good to see, especially considering that a lot of Dragoness transformations don't have that at all, and it's kind of a shame. But here, we get to see her and her smug personality, which again, works out really, really to her benefit. And I love how basically Gru tries to get away, but she catches him with her tail, and then basically coils him in her noodle body, which is a fun little detail. She then decides to kill Gru by having his limbs ripped apart by a clock's hands, which, okay, that's kind of brutal right there.
It is brutal, even for a kid's movie.
Exactly. That's because she is brutal. She is a villain above all else. So basically, that's definitely in character for her. Also, as a little bit of a side note, she is she's an African American female that became a dragon, and as the movie no doubt shows somewhat, she still possesses some of that booty. So basically,
she is thick. Yep, she is.
That's
another detail that was pretty fun. But the minions then arrive, and Belle decides she says something like to the effect of, "Let's make it a fair fight," and she uses it to turn Stuart, Bob, and Kevin into a chicken, a bunny, and a ram. And I like that Belle's smugness and love of being a dragoness is one of the best parts of it, that she truly enjoys this new form of her more than anything else. And again, it is a lot of fun. She then shoots flame at them as the minions run for their lives. Wild Knuckles then shows up and wanting to protect Gru and threatens to fight off the rest of the Vicious Six. The minions show... Yep. But then the minions, of course, show up to back up Wild Knuckles. Not all the minions, sadly, just Kevin, Stewart, and Bob. We then get a really cool close-up on Belle, and we get to see here something that's really amazing. The animators took the time to render all of her scales. She must have like hundreds of thousands of them on her body, and they actually rendered it for like this close-up shot.
Which, counts, Disney.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, now we get to see how the Vicious Six and Wild Knuckles and the minions all fight each other as Belle shoots flame at them. Another nice touch, with again, always is a plus in my book. After Belle breathes fire, she puffs out smoke from her nostrils, which again, it's something that's so inconsequential, but it is a lot of fun that they do that. You know, that they remember the detail.
She knows she's a dragon. She knows she's a villain. She is a villain dragon, and details like that make it worth it.
Exactly. So yeah, the minions turn out to be overpowered at first, before Kevin is the first one to remember their kung fu training, and they use it to their advantage to get away from the members. We get a really funny gag with basically Bob shooting eggs at Nunchuck, and then one of them hatches into a tiny baby chick. That is fun. And then Nunchuck eats it because he's a giant snake. Then Bob basically karate kicks her in the face, and it frees the chick. That again is the moment that is just so funny. It really is, you know.
For those of you out there who are no doubt going to be screaming at us like, "It's not Bob, it's Stuart." I share your pain, people. I share your pain.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
My apology.
It's all good.
It's hard for me to tell them apart sometimes. My apologies.
Yeah,
my apologies.
I can easily tell them apart. Like, the movie helped get their dynamic out in the first movie, which helps greatly. But yeah. I don't know. I'm not normally a stickler about that, but that's just me. Anyways.
Yep. So anyway, Wild Knuckles grabs onto Belle's tail and he runs up her body while the minions try to distract her. Then we get to see Otto trying to help save the day too. He sneaks up the clock tower to rescue Gru, but he's grabbed by Jean-Claude. But then Gru is revealed to have gotten out of the ropes, and he saves Otto by basically beating Jean-Claude with the clock hand.
Nice.
Wild Knuckles is still climbing on Belle's elongated body. He attempts to take the Zodiac Stone, but Belle tosses him in the air, and then she sets him on fire, which, of course, is being a kid's movie. It doesn't exactly kill him, but it still is...
It's brutal.
It shows how the Vicious Six are not like the... Gru is a villain, but he's not an actively malicious villain. Or like even Wild Knuckles, he wasn't actively malicious in a way. Although he did try to kill Gru, rather, but... Even so, he isn't as bad as the Vicious Six. They're depicted as being like the worst of the worst that are only in it for themselves, for the money, and for the glory. Yeah, they don't care who they hurt in their process.
Yeah, it's also very interesting to note that this was the movie that somewhat cemented the seed of Gru basically becoming a sort of villain buster. I mean, think about it. Every single movie that he's in, for the most part, he's been busting villains. It all started with freaking what's her face? Oh yeah, Scarlet Overkill, and then
and now the Vicious Six, exactly.
Yeah, like this kid is quite the interesting anti-hero, all things considered.
Yeah, exactly, and they already started with this one. So basically, the Vicious Six all try to attack Gru, but the minions all blast them back with their kung fu powers. Gru gets a hold of the Zodiac Stone. He turns the Vicious Six into rats. So basically, this movie and the Witches basically have the exact same denouement. The villains turn into mice. Wonder how many other times this happened in movies.
Also, Ludmilla, reverse Ludmilla.
Yeah, in a way.
Oh yeah.
Basically, Gru is amazed with the minions and the fact they saved the day. He allows them to work for him again, and then we get to see him embrace them in a really nice scene. The Anti-Villain League capture the Vicious Six, who are now rats, and we get to see like the rat version of Belle Bottoms angrily squeak at her companions, which is a pretty fun gag. We then get to see a Wild Knuckles carried out on a stretcher, and it turns out that the Anti-Villain League is planning to arrest him. We then cut to a graveyard as you get to see a villain held for Wild Knuckles. But then it's revealed that he's still alive but hiding from a tree, and Gru vows to be the best villain ever in honor for Wild Knuckles. The minions all sing, and we get to see Kevin, Stewart, and Bob fumble with the coffin, and it turns out the coffin is filled with bananas, and a pretty funny gag.
Oh, yeah.
Surprisingly little amount of bananas in this movie for a Minions property. There was the giant banana in the desert, and then there's this, and that's really it, surprisingly.
Yeah. Also, this basically has the best rendition of the Rolling Stones. Can't always get what you want, in my opinion.
Yep, exactly.
Sorry to interrupt, but I gotta leave here.
It's all good. It's all good.
What's up, Stryker?
Yeah, I'm still here.
It's all good. It's okay. It's Python, actually. Yeah.
I gotta leave here.
All good. All good.
Okay, can you give us your rating and give us your choice?
In a little while. In a little while. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So, all right. So yeah, basically, Wild Knuckles then decides to take Gru under his wing as he and the minions all drive home, and it's here where we get to see again a nice thing of how Gru became the way he is. The movie ends with a mid-credits scene with Criminal Records going out of business now that the Vicious Six are no longer there, and Gru, having remembered Dr. Nefario, hires him to work for him. And then they all fly off in his flying car, which is the one that Gru would eventually get as the movie ends.
And also another thing about that scene, they do the freaking, the rule of threes in comedy.
Yeah,
I think this movie did it great with the whole bleeding eye thing, like especially with that chicken minion. Oh my god!
Yeah, that is the that is the way that it really saves that running gag. You're absolutely right with that.
The freaking it's hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. It really does. So basically, Minions Rise of Gru was a gigantic, enormous success commercially, and it got pretty good reviews. It probably is one of my favorites of the Despicable Me movies, just for how inventive it was. It probably would be like the first Despicable Me, and then this actually might be my second favorite. I'm not going to lie. I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed this a lot more than I expected to, just because how inventive it is and how much fun it was. And of course, lest we forget, there was the gentle Minions meme, where people showed up to the movie dressed in their finest, which, pretty funny for, I guess, 5 minutes and that, like in most memes.
Well, dang. It's also another little ending thing. They show this sort of kidified soft style drawings of Gru and the Minions just doing a bunch of stuff as kids. I like the little I like the little kiss thing that they did for the talent show. The whole Stewart running on the freaking Chinese table with Michelle Yeoh's character there. And I think my favorite has to be the Halloween episode, or the Halloween moment, where Gru is dressed up as Wilder Willy Wonka with a bunch of the minions basically being Oompa Loompa.
Exactly. That was so funny. It really was.
Oh yeah, and it also shows them just it also shows Gru running off and then it just shows the freaking minions just with not only candy but a freaking TV. Oh my gosh.
Exactly.
It's also very cute that they did the whole arm folding thing with Gru with his devilish smirk. He's sitting there folding, and the minions just do it as well. This movie is just so charming.
It is. You can tell they had a lot of fun with this.
I wouldn't say it's in my top. I mean, it's probably in my top 5, honestly. But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie a lot more than I honestly
really did too. But now it is time for the question of the week, which is: what is your favorite Illumination Entertainment movie as a whole? Now, I'm probably going to give the obvious answer here. Forgive me if I do. I'm probably going to go with the Super Mario movie, because it really feels like that was the one movie where they really got everything really tightly controlled. There wasn't a missed moment. There was a lot of great references to the game, so still being its own thing. I mean, you have Jack Black as Bowser. I mean, hello, the Peaches song is absolutely hilarious and amazing. And it really worked out. I will say one little criticism I have, and it is kind of took me out a little bit. Chris Pratt as Mario was just I don't know. I get what they were trying to do with it. They weren't trying to do like Charles Martinet, like, woohoo, here we go. Although they did have Martinet in the movie, which very touching. I'm so glad they got him in there. But I feel like, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. But I feel like Chris Pratt's Mario, it didn't really feel like the character a lot. I mean, granted, he still did a good job with it, and he is supposed to be Mario, and he does a good job in some moments, but other moments when I'm watching him, I just think he doesn't feel like Mario the character. And I get it, it's supposed to be his first time in the Mushroom Kingdom with the Toads, with Peach, etc. But I don't know. To me, it just feels like they could have gotten somebody else, I feel. Because, again, Danny McBride did a good job as Luigi, but I just feel like, I don't know, for Mario in particular, there was a way you could have done it, and it could have worked a little bit better. I'm not saying, again, he did a bad performance, not at all, but I just feel like it could have been a little bit better. But I will say this, Seth Rogen did a very good job as Donkey Kong. I give him credit for that, too.
He did.
Yeah.
And he is Toad.
But yeah, definitely. He did. That was a really, really good version too. And you know they're gonna make a sequel. And if they do make a sequel, two things. Number one, they have to have Wario in it. And number two, it would be great if they actually referenced the Super Mario Bros. 2 with like Subcon or Wart or something like that.
Yeah, that would be very interesting.
Yeah.
It would also be interesting to see other lesser-known characters from throughout the Mario series, like stuff from Mario and Luigi, maybe Paper Mario. Who knows?
I don't know if they do Paper Mario, but I would like to see maybe Luigi or even Daisy would be cool to see. And what's it say? It definitely did Mario justice after the 1993 movie, which isn't a bad movie, mind you. And we had an episode on that, so check it out if you haven't seen it. But a bit of plugging there. But basically, it's not a bad movie, but it's not a good Mario movie. And I feel like the Illumination Mario movie is probably the best animated Mario movie that you could ask for in this day and age. Like I say, there's also the Mario OVA from the 80s, which is a lot of fun. If you haven't seen that, I also recommend that. But that's going to be my pick for my favorite Illumination movie. It's going to be the Super Mario Bros. Movie. So, Angron, what is going to be your pick for your favorite Illumination movie?
To answer that particular question, a relatively quick top 5. Number 5, the Lorax. I think I'm the only person in this universe who will actively defend some of the things the modern Lorax does. Not to say that the deleted scenes and concept art and even biggering, the song that we were robbed of was amazing. But yeah. Oh, someone's gone. Oh boy, that's not good.
Okay, it's all good.
Okay.
Continue. It's Jordan actually. Oh, continue. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I do like the Lorax. I watched it when it came out in theaters. It was fun. Number 4, the Minions and freaking Minions 2: The Rise of Gru. I can't really rank them separately because they're honestly it's just the prequel to Despicable Me, and the Minions are just being minions. What more is there to really say? Number 3, Despicable Me. I mean, come on. It was the movie that pretty much cemented Illumination as what it is, for both better and worse. Honestly, where they go from there, who knows? But honestly, I haven't really hated what Despicable Me ultimately did for Illumination. And yeah. Anyways, number 2. You all are probably gonna hate me for this. Sting and Sting 2. I'm sorry. I love those. Initially, they were going to be my number 1. Oh, wait. No, I think I might have goofed up on something. Okay. Reverse. Number 3. Sting and Sting 2. A little thought was given when I ultimately tackled them in the past. However, I will say that despite being the most cliche freaking jukebox musical possibly ever, I'm sorry, I loved it. Sing 2 a little less so, but come on. The music's great. The characters are very much relatable in spite of being cookie cutter. And, oh man, Scarlett Johansson singing made it worth it. Also,
definitely.
Yeah. Also, the only 2 films Matthew McConaughey was in that I can ultimately say with confidence, he does not suck.
Nope.
Number 2, the Mario movie. Some of your criticisms are correct. I don't think Chris Pratt's Mario was bad. Honestly, the whole Brooklyn thing with like the Super Mario Bros. Super Show thing, it was funny. And also the other stuff was really great. Jack Black as Bowser, Key as Toad. Just all the attention to detail they did with the Mario movie was awesome. Also, the opening scene is just forever stuck in my head. Do you yield? Oh, man.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
But yeah, also Danny McBride as frickin' Luigi. Honestly, that ain't a bad pick, all things considered. Now then, number 1 might honestly be a little bit of an expected pick, but I will say, hands down, Migration's fun. It's not perfect, and honestly, later I might rank it down to number 2, but for now, Migration. Taika Waititi in this movie was great. Like, there's no bad characters, and some of the moments were a little iffy, but I'm sorry, it's really adorable. Like, the family here isn't actual family for the most part. I really enjoyed a lot of the characters. Just had some surprisingly dark moments, like 1 or 2 more or less, but man, this movie was amazing. It's a recent movie, and also, oh man, I have a lot I want to say about this movie, but that would be kind of going into spoiler territory, which I'm not going to do. You go check it out for yourself. Taika Waititi is fun in this. Pam is easily one of the best moms in media. Thank you, Illumination. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Next.
Nice. So, yeah, Stryker, what would you say is your favorite Illumination Entertainment movie?
I actually completely forgot about this movie for a while until I looked up a list of their movies. The Secret Life of Pets.
Oh yeah, that movie.
I don't know why. I found it really fun, actually.
Yeah. Fun moments too. It's just animals being animals, and just oh my gosh, that fight scene with the pom going against all those animals.
It's a fun one. The sequel was kind of underwhelming, but the first one, I will admit, does have its moments. Yeah.
It's because I have a bit of a special connection to this movie because sometimes, I watch it with my folks whenever it's on TV.
Nice.
Especially the first one. I mean, sure, Harrison Ford was in the sequel, but it's not the same.
Yeah, it's a freaking lit.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So, Jordan has written to me. She said that her favorite Illumination movie is also the Super Mario Bros. Movie.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Honestly, it's expected.
Yeah.
Honestly,
it's the one that most people would expect. Yeah.
Honestly, might change mine to the Super Mario movie. I like Migration, but yeah, Mario movie, hands down.
Oh, good. So yeah, like I said, also Evie, what would you have to say is your favorite Illumination Entertainment movie?
I watched Despicable Me once, and that was.
Nope, it's all good.
And I do not remember. I cannot tell you a thing about it.
I see.
I'll bet.
Ain't that good.
Yep. Well, I see, but it's all right. So yep, now it's time for the patent pending Dragoness Scale, and we're going to rank Belle today. Now, this is going to be really, really hard because there is a lot of stuff I like about her. A lot of stuff. I mean, she really ticks like almost all the boxes. I don't know about a perfect 10. I very, very much am conflicted because, again, she has everything perfect. The personality, the voice, the whole dragoness nature, that kind of thing. It really, really does work out to the best. But I really... it does feel, but again, she does get a lot of good time. It is really, really difficult. But in all honesty, I don't know if I can give her a 10. I really, really want to. But actually, you know what? I actually, call me crazy, I might actually give her a 10. This is the first 10 I think that a Dragoness has gotten in a very, very long time. for me anyway. And yeah, it's because of this that, aside of course from Gertie, but yeah, getting back to Belle, I really think that she has no flaws. I mean, she really does not have any flaws as a, character, as a dragoness, with the design, with the voice, with the overall,
Everything.
characteristics, even the little details, like kind of an implied transformation sequence. Okay, it's not a full one, but what we did get of it with her, her face morphing from a human one into a dragon snout and her slowly getting taller and taller, even that is really, really well done. I cannot believe this. I cannot find any fault with her at all. I'm giving her a perfect score. So, Angron,
yeah, you know what? Yeah, I think I'll agree with that because, like,
right?
I can't tell you how perfect a villain she is too.
Exactly, exactly, and it does fit. And it's a villain transformation into a dragoness, but she still keeps herself, and that again is a really, really huge boost.
That actually kind of makes her just a tiny bit better than Ludmilla.
Really? Wow. Well, we'll talk more about that when we get when we redo our Ludmilla episode. That'll be in the future. Yep. So, Angron, what would you have to give her?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a 10 out of 10. Again,
wow.
She's heavy. She's a dragon. She got a little bit of thickness. No judging. But oh my gosh, this not just her design, not just those facts, but just overall the character and impact she has as a story is hands down amazing. It's just man, the only really real complaint I have is I want to see more of her. She deserved more time. Then that speaks volumes to how effective she was as a villain in this movie.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Evie, what would you have to give her?
I'll do 10 for design.
Wow.
Nice.
Unfortunately, this 10 train is coming to a halt because Jordan says that she is going to give Belle Bottoms an 8 out of 10. She's not listing her reasons why, but that's still a really, really high score. I think that's one of the highest scores that a Dragoness has had on the podcast at all, to be honest. And wow, that really is something else. Shows how well Illumination Entertainment did with her.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Shout out to you, Chris.
Yep, exactly.
Happy about that, to be honest.
Yep. That'll be it for this week. If you have any questions or if you want to send us Year of the Dragon greetings, you can feel free to email us at fierydiscourse@outlook.com or visit us on Twitter at twitter.com/fierydiscourse. Next time, we'll be talking about the 1983 OVA, Serendipity the Pink Dinosaur. It's going to be interesting for the person who worked on it, which we'll talk about in the episode. We'll keep that kind of a surprise. But that's going to be it for this week. And until then, take care.
Laters. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Adios. Happy Year of the Dragon, everyone. Adios.